Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Brady here. Today we got a pretty exciting video. I'm going to be working on something that I've wanted to do to the 240 for a long time, and I've had the parts just sitting around, but now is the perfect opportunity. So we're going to be upgrading the turbocharger on my RB20 today. So guys, on the car here, this is probably the first time you're seeing it with the kit painted on it, so don't pay too much attention to that. We're working on the motor today. So as you can see, I already took the old turbo off because I had to get some cracks repaired on the manifold. Things I've done just to get it to this point right now is I actually took the water line off of the block because the factory turbo is water and oil cooled. So conveniently enough, the water feed off the block was a M14 by 1.5 banjo bolt. So I actually had to find a bolt to plug that in. It was the same size as a Volkswagen oil pan, so I had one sitting in storage, so I literally just took the bolt off, had to trim about 3 mils off of it just to get it to sit flush in there, so that's good. We're filled up with coolant and everything. I don't know how well you'll be able to see it, but yeah, it's very difficult to see, but it's down there. So now we're pretty much set up. That little rag right about there is the oil feed, and then underneath of it is the oil drain. So we got a braided steel line for that, and we're gonna have to test fit the turbo to cut our new hose for the turbo drain. Don't pay too much attention to that Gatorade bottle. We're gonna be cleaning a lot of stuff up. Actually, if you guys probably didn't see, but you guys probably didn't see, I had some really janky intercooler piping. It was all kind of mixed, matched. 2.25 inch, so we're going to be upgrading that all the way from the throttle body straight to the turbo inlet and leaving the Greddy intercooler with all new couplers and piping. So on my car before, I had the RB25 turbo. I was running it around 14 psi, but I never had it actually dyno tested, so I never knew what kind of power I was making. So I mean, here, just for an idea, here's some of the old intercooler piping. Like, it's like half stainless steel, half aluminum, just like old shit. Here's the new stuff. I got some Autobahn stuff. It's good price. Came in like 2 days. All new couplers. Got some sawdust on there, but good stuff. New vibrant gaskets. Alright, so we're going to do a little quick comparison of the turbo versus the new turbo side by side, because this is probably the only time they'll be side by side. So let me just tell you about the new turbo first. So the new turbo is a Greddy TD06 20G with the 10 centimeter housing on it. It has got a, actually let me just show you. So boys, this is the snail right here. The Greddy, it's been rebuilt. It's got a Kanugawa, if you say that correctly, wastegate on there. And then since it's a TD06, it normally has a Subaru housing, but we actually bought a hot side that is a direct bolt onto RB20, so we can use our factory manifold and turbo elbow. So that is perfect for me. So this is pretty much like a bolt-on turbo for RB20 now. So let me just... So right beside it here, that is our RB25 turbo. As you can tell, it's a little bit smaller. The housing is definitely smaller on its own. Same with the exhaust housing as well. Definitely noticeably smaller in person. I'm not sure about camera size. So I mean, the main limiting restriction on the RB25 turbo, which is why I wanted to change it out, is it actually has ceramic wheels in the turbine. So what that means is once you're running high amounts of boost, those turbines are like notorious for just melting, and then your turbo's blown. So the Greddy turbo has steel wheels, so you can run as much boost as you want. Well, not as much, but maybe around like 25-30 psi would be probably the maximum, or even above the max. Anyways, so yeah. So guys, since I did all this small stuff off camera, the turbo's pretty much ready to be fit onto the car. I'm gonna have to take it on and off probably twice just to get the measurement for the drain tube properly, and then we'll get it bolted up, and then we'll start on the intercooler piping, which I'm so excited for because it's going to clean this engine bay up so much. Alrighty boys, so there is the turbo. She's all bolted up. So actually, to get this nut here, I actually took the turbo back out, took my little die grinder. I don't know how well you can see if the sun's showing you or not. And I actually had to trim that a little bit because the nuts I'm using are pretty damn big. Anyway, so now that we have the turbo in, I'm seeing a couple issues that we're gonna have. One is the fact that I have a 90 caliper, or I have a 90 coupler that's supposed to go on right there and come right to about here. So this, I think I can bend this line out of the way just enough to get by. This though, I might have to replace that or run it just down more. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to replace that with something longer so I can kind of feed it in there. So I just actually got the turbo, everything is bolted up. I removed the power steering reservoir because the hoses actually came right in front of where intercooler piping is gonna go. So I went ahead and I started on my intercooler piping because it's very difficult to film that. So here I'll just show you. We got all brand new silicone and hoses. So right here, this is a 2.75 inch 90-degree coupler. So we're keeping 2.75, which is the diameter of the throttle body. So there we have it to a straight piece. We have a little tap there for our idle air control valve. That is connected in and goes into the intake. So that's just a straight 12-inch piece. Then down here, as you can see, let's just focus right there. We have another 92.75 coming off that straight piece. This right here, I believe, is a 130-degree bend. So that's a 130-degree bend, 275, and that goes straight into the core. The core is a 2.75 as well. Now let's come over to this side. So on this side, we have a 2.75 reduced down to a 2.5. So then we have a 2.590 silicone coupler, and then, yeah, let's get another focus on there. Then we have another 2.590 that goes to another 2.590 silicone coupler. So that came out right here. I actually had to Dremel this hole a little bit bigger because it only fit 2 1/4 before. I put a little hose, I put some paint on there so it wouldn't rust, and then I put a little hose around there so that when the engine's vibrating, it's not going to cut through my silicone hose and leave me stranded with a boost leak. So this right here is our 2-inch to 2.5-inch 90-degree adapter. So this goes onto the turbo and expands it to our size of our intercooler piping. So because of the turbo housing, I actually had to trim into this a little bit. I mean, no big deal. The guy who I bought the turbo kit off of, he suggested I do this, and it worked out quite well. So I am gonna have to reroute my power steering lines. I'm not 100% sure how I'm gonna do that yet. So the reservoir on my car was a S13 high-cast one, which is a stock one, and it sat really low in the engine bay. So I'm picking up a S14 one, which is about this big. It's about half the size. It runs a slightly smaller feed tube to the power steering pump. So it runs a slightly, so we have a 3/4 fitting here. We're gonna run an adapter from there, and it's gonna give us lots of space. So from our 2.5-inch 90, let me get this focus, to here. So we're gonna have this nice tight fit on there. Trimmed it. Look at that. Perfect. Obviously, it's extremely close, but I'm not too worried about that. Then here we have a 2.5-inch 45-degree 90 hose. So guys, I mean, there's no hose clamps on it, but that's about how it's gonna look like, a little straighter in there. So as you can see, there's no space for my power steering line, so I'm gonna have to run a thinner one that will go down through here and around. This one either is still gonna come in the same spot and just be touching there. Thankfully it does have this thick little rubber. Not 100% sure on that yet though. So unfortunately, the place I'm supposed to get the car tuned, Dyna Motorsports Tuning, DMT Tuning, in Toronto, they're actually pretty booked and they had to move my appointment, so I'm gonna pretty much just run the car at about 5 PSI, so I'm not maxing out the stock injectors, because I have a bunch of other stuff that you're gonna see that I'll be throwing on, and once I put that on, the car won't run. And yeah. But it is looking so much better in this engine bay. Like, that intercooler piping was bothering me so much before, and now I finally have a nice clean bay with nice clean new couplers, intercooler piping. That turbo is gonna look so good in there. Alright boys, so here we are back. As you can see, this is the S13 power steering reservoir. So I got that thing bolted up, and it's exactly where it needs to be. I got a little bit of an adapter here, so that's going from 3/4 to 5/8. Still got to run my intercooler piping and then see how I can fit the hose in there as well. Cut this and put a 3/8 to 3/8 barb thing in there just so I could extend this hose up to reach here because it wasn't far enough. And yeah, I got some new 5/8 inch hose. The intercooler piping, we're gonna try and get it all bolted up, and the intake as well. Alright, all our power steering lines in the reservoir is all bolted up. Gotta toss our little Chase Bay's sock on there to Chase Bay's res, bro. Damn, this is difficult one-handed. Mint. Alright boys, so that's about how the intercooler piping is going to sit. So I guess now we can throw our intake on. So all we got here is a 3-inch 45-degree elbow, 2 couplers, MAF sensor, old ass filter which we're gonna replace, but it hasn't come in the mail yet, so alright boys, so I know it's definitely difficult to tell, but this filter is extremely close to the hood. Like when the hood closes, it's probably like, it's about this far away. Oops. It's about this far away. So I've actually had to trim it a lot just to make it fit, and you can kind of tell by the angle it's on just with the intercooler piping, but without having a custom piece welded for this, like less than a 45 degree, I made it work with what we got, so I'm pretty happy with that for now. Got a new filter coming in with a new MAF and all that stuff, but that'll just be easy to take on and off. Plug in our MAF. So boys, as far as the turbo install goes, pretty much everything is ready to go. We got the manifold back on, new gaskets, new studs for the turbo. The turbo is on, the turbo elbow's on. Got 2-inch from the turbo, which goes to 2.5 inch all the way into the core from the hot side. Then from the cold side, we have all brand new 2.75 inch right up to the throttle body. The motor has fresh engine oil, has fresh coolant. Yeah man, she's about ready to go. I just need to go pick up some transmission fluid for the power steering reservoir because I lost a little bit, and there's a couple more things we're gonna do before we start it. Like we're gonna do a catch can setup, and I also got to weld a O2 bung onto the downpipe, but other than that, the car could potentially start right now. So guys, where we left off last, we had just finished getting all the hardware, piping, everything installed on the car. A little time has gone by since then. but I'm gonna show you where we're at now. So as you can see on the car here, everything's hooked up. I got the transmission fluid, so that is filled up. So what I did here was I capped those two ends off on the valve covers. Then I got some new 5/8" line. So we're running that down to our little catch can setup right here. So we have a vented catch can in and out. So that way we have no more venting to atmosphere. So yeah, the car is running now. So I'm gonna start it up for you guys so you can listen. Alrighty boys, so as you can tell, she is running very good. So I actually just had the head off of the engine. Sorry, so I actually just had the cams and the timing belt off the engine. I replaced the lifters because we had a couple bad lifters and they started making a really bad sound. So we got new lifters in there. Timing belt is retension, so apparently I had the belt way too tight on there and it was kind of causing like a supercharged whine coming from the engine. So now the engine is a lot quieter. Like you can even, I don't know if you can tell on video, but you can hear the injectors firing. So that is really good. So oh yeah, no blow off valve. She's sounding good. I'm so happy with how this turned out because the engine bay just looks so much cleaner. We got new piping all the way around, no air restrictions, so I'm super excited. Alright guys, so that is going to be the end of the big turbo install part 1. Part 2, we got some goodies that we're going to be throwing on the car, so make sure to check out the next video. We got new ECU, fuel pressure regulator, injectors, all that good stuff to get the car running, and we're going to get a base map loaded up onto it. So thanks for watching guys, check out the next video. Peace.